I'm Arnold Diaz from Fox 5 News.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you a question because you're a registered sex offender and you're living in a building that has a daycare center.
Listen,
Can you tell me about that? You live in the building. We have pictures of you going in and out of there, sir.
Chris Schuberin, a convicted sex offender, appears to be living at this Bronx home where his ex-wife runs the all-star daycare program for up to 14 children.
That's dangerous, isn't it, for you to be around small children?
Listen, why don't you check, see what's going on?
Raj Ramnarine has told authorities what's going on because he's understandably outraged.
I said to myself, if he could do that to my child, an 11-year-old child, he can do it to any kid.
Raj's young daughter testified that when she was just 11 years old, the family friend she knew as Uncle Chris forcibly raped her on 2 separate occasions and threatened, if you say anything about this, I will kill you. It took her 3 years to come forward. When she did, Schuberin was arrested for rape.
What about the charge that you raped his daughter twice?
Nobody didn't rape no body, okay?
He was convicted on reduced charges of attempted sexual abuse, attempted sexual misconduct, and menacing. He was sentenced to 6 months in jail and required to register as a sex offender.
The judge found you guilty, sir.
There was a woman judge and she was gay and she was a two-sided, okay? She didn't like men.
As a registered sex offender, Schuberin is required to tell authorities where he's living, but it appears he's using a false address while he's actually living here. On his registry page, Schuberin lists his address as 1129 Underhill Avenue in the Bronx, but we went there and spoke with the woman who's lived upstairs in the 2-family home for 10 years.
Chris Schuberin does not live here?
No.
Could he live downstairs?
No.
She believes a relative of Schuberin or his ex-wife lives downstairs and says we're not the first to come looking for him.
A couple of times they have come here, cops and everything.
Looking for him? No.
Never here.
Never here.
Never here.
You're lying to the sex offender registry. You don't live at Underhill Avenue.
I live on Underhill.
He really lives at 1147 St. Lawrence Avenue, the home he owns, which houses the daycare center, says the victim's father.
I see him all the time at this address.
I also spoke with a neighbor 2 doors down.
But he lives over there, right?
Yeah, he's there.
At 1147.
Yeah.
The city health department sent out investigators, but one official told Raj,
It's very hard for us to catch him there because he's playing this game very well.
Fox 5 caught him, but it wasn't easy. In August, we saw him walking past the daycare facility in the morning, looking over his shoulder, but we hadn't seen him come out the front door. In October, we discovered why. He uses the back door. Here he is coming out the rear of the daycare home early in the morning. He then walks over to an alley next door, which he uses as his exit to the street. Because his head was covered, we couldn't get a good look at his face. We'd been warned about that.
He will put on a hood in the morning before he gets out.
So that same afternoon, we staked out the Midtown Hotel where he works. That's him, leaving at 4 p.m., headed for the subway. Once on board, without the hoodie on his head, we get a clear picture of his face. After exiting the train, he goes directly to 1145 St. Lawrence Avenue, next door to the daycare program. He owns that building, too. It's being renovated.
I have the right to come here, make sure things are taken care of. I don't go over there, I don't go over the daycares.
Doesn't go over to the daycare? Just watch. After inspecting the renovation work, he leaves that house, then heads down the alley and goes to the back, walks past the children's play equipment, and straight into the rear door of the daycare home. We don't know if there were any children inside, but it was around 5:30, and daycare goes till 6.
But we see you here before 6 o'clock, sir. We
you
have
see me
pictures
over
of
at the
you.
daycare house?
Yes, we saw you
see
going
me
in and out.
When you see me in the daycare house?
We saw you coming out early in the morning.
Daycare starts at 8 o'clock, okay? I have the right to come and open my door, go around and check the garbage, and walk out of here before daycare starts.
So now you're saying you do come out of that house in the morning.
Not every time. Weekends maybe, like when there's no daycare.
But we have you during the week, sir.
No.
It's during the week.
Here's another picture of Schuberin coming out the back door of the daycare home. It's a Thursday. We sent an undercover producer into the all-star daycare facility. She was told by owner Ahelia Shubarin that the program is licensed to care for up to 14 children from 6 weeks to 12 years old. I tried speaking with Ahelia outside.
I'm Arnold Diaz from Fox 5. How come Mr. Chris Shubarin is living here? Believe it or not, unless a sex offender's on parole or probation, there's no restriction in New York City on where he can live. But a daycare facility is not supposed to be licensed to a home where a sex offender's living. So, how did this place get a state license?
A spokesperson for the State Office of Children and Family Services tells Fox 5 the license was issued with a restriction that Christopher Shubarin cannot be present during child care hours.
It is completely unacceptable for the state to grant a license with any provision that a sex offender can be there before hours, after hours, or any hours. They're not supposed to be there.
Laura Ahern, executive director of Parents for Megan's Law, says the state is allowing a dangerous situation.
Sex offenders who target minors, which this particular offender did, have a higher rate of recidivism.
The system is broken. It is not working the way it should, because the amount of time I spent, the amount of people that I contacted, and to no avail.
What about the children in the daycare center? You're not supposed to be there with them.
So into our Fox 5 Hall of Shame, we induct sex offender Chris Shubarin for lying about where he's living, and the City Health Department and State Office of Children and Family Services for failing to catch him.
Shame, shame, shame.
The State Division of Criminal Justice says it's a felony for a sex offender to list a false address as his residence. Chris Shubarin's attorney says his client resides at the registered address and is in full compliance with the rules of the New York State Sex Offender Registry. If you've got a story idea for us, go to our website, myfoxny.com, click on the shame link at the top of the page, or call us at 1-877-TEL-FOX5. I'm Arnold Diaz, Fox 5 News.
So late today, we got word from the NYPD that despite what Arnold uncovered, Shubarin lives at the registered address. When we asked them when that address was last verified, well, they didn't give us an answer.